Global remittances are projected to decline sharply by about 20% in 2020 due to the economic crisis induced by the COVID-19 pandemic and shutdown. The projected fall, which will be sharpest decline in recent history, is largely due to the fall in the wages and employment of migrant workers, who tend to be more vulnerable to loss of employment and wages during an economic crisis in a host country. To discuss more on how COVID-19 has affected remittance, we speak to Adil Dirie, East Africa's Regional Director for remittance company PaySii. Thank you very much, Adil, for joining us. If you can hear me, can you tell us how the pandemic has affected remittance across the world?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me to your show. Yes, so there's been a decline in remittances for this year. There's expected to be a decline of 23%. And the reason for that is the pandemic, is the coronavirus pandemic. It's making it very difficult for people to send the money. Most of the high street money transfer shops have been closed down. So therefore, people are struggling to send the money. And even if they could, there's a problem with the employment. So a lot of the people that were sending this money are finding it difficult to continue to work. So a lot of them were in the economy, for example, in the high street shops, as taxi drivers, and they are finding it really difficult to continue with work with the shutdown. As PaySii, we believe that this is a really difficult time, for people that are, sending money back to their families. And
we understand that it is a burden. What has your organization done to ease this burden for thousands of your customers across the world?
So at the moment, the countries that we're focusing on is sub-Saharan Africa. So in sub-Saharan Africa, last year, 48 billion US dollars were sent, and the prediction is that there will be a 23% decline in this. So this is a lot of money that people were using for essential bills, children, taking children to schools, paying for utilities. So we feel that in sub-Saharan Africa will be hit harder than other regions of the world, not just purely for remittances, but for other factors as well. These economies are normally informal, and the shutdown is really affecting these countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So that's where our focus is, and that's where we feel that will be hit hardest of all the regions in the world.
Your organization is digital, far different from the traditional remittance companies. What assurance are you giving that PaySii is safe and secure?
Sure. So PaySii is an online platform. We're an online money transfer business. So generally, we make it easier for people to send money. It's more convenient. The fact that you don't have to go out of your house. You don't have to. You can do this while you are on the bus, on the train. So generally, online platforms are easier than offline platforms. But in this particular time, as I said earlier on, the issue is that the high street agents, the traditional players, are struggling to open, and people are not they don't have the option anymore. So businesses like PaySii are making it easier for people to send their money. The fact that they can do it at home, while they're staying at home, they can send their money through their phone. So the fact that it's simpler than the traditional players, it's easier. But on top of that, we've noticed that this is going to be very, very difficult, for our customers. So what we've done is we've reduced our fees, at this period by 50%. So customers, can send, money back home for a commission of just 1% when you compare it to what they would normally pay on the high streets, which is up to 9% in some cases. So what we've done is basically reduce our prices and make it easier for people to send the money simply by using their phones.
How does the future look for people depending on remittance and those sending?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a question that, customers ask, when they see, online platforms. So for us, we can reassure, customers by the fact that, we are regulated by the UK's Financial Conduct Authority, which is one of the, toughest regulations in the world. And if anything happens, the FCAs and, regulators around Europe, because we are mainly sending from Europe at the moment, and these regulators are making sure that that their money is safe, our platform is safe, and that if anything happens, then there are processes and procedures in place for customers to keep their money safe. So that they can be reassured by the fact that we are established company here in the UK and also all around Europe, and a lot of customers are sending their money through PaySii. So it shouldn't be something that customers should be concerned with for a company such as PaySii.
Your organization is a global leader in money remittance and directly deals with thousands of customers. What are the exact effects, and is the sharp decline reported by the World Bank real?
From a remittances point of view, this pandemic will last, some time. So, we believe that the shutdown will slowly come off over the next few months. But because of the significance of the issues of employment, especially for people who are relying on sending money through their jobs, this is going to take time. So a lot of companies will obviously see that they might be able to survive with a reduced workforce. They might have been hit quite heavily by the pandemic, and it will take them time for them to get back to normal. So we believe that this is going to last for the remainder of the year, and it might even go to next year as well, in 2021. Same as the World Bank. The World Bank is also predicting that this is going to go on for the next year.
Just a quick one now. How can one send money through PaySii? That is, if I have a family member now living, for example, in London, how can they send money to me now that you have told us that you're using the digital way, not the traditional way of remittance sending money?
So the examples you've given, in Somalia, Somaliland, well, the great thing about PaySii is that, we've got a good partnership with the mobile money providers. So providers such as, SAD, mobile money in Somaliland, in EVC Plus, Somalia, even in Puntland, there's the Sahel mobile money. So these mobile platforms, are our true partners. And what we're able to do is basically allow people, to pick up their money really fast. So if someone, sends the money now, within, and things like, the person, all they need is the mobile number of the recipient. So as long as they got the mobile number, these people are already in the system. They're already registered with platforms such as SAD, EVC Plus, and Sahel. So it's really, really easy. Once people try it, they don't really go back to other platforms, because they see that these partnerships that we've built with the mobile platforms is really strong, and it just makes their life so much easier. Once you do one transaction, you don't need to worry about registration anymore. All you do is just save that transaction. You can repeat it as many times as you like. And what we're finding is that a lot of people used to send money, once a month. They would wait for their pay salary to come through at the end of the month, and then they would go to high street shops and send it. Now what they're doing is, they're sending in small amounts. They might get like $20, $10 here. So we've seen the frequency, over the month, maybe 3-4 times. Sending in small amounts, because it's so much easier. Someone just calls you saying, oh yeah, I need a quick $10 to buy something, and then you could do that while you're on the bus. So it's really, really convenient. It's really simple, and it just helps, when you're struggling. Sometimes you might not be able to wait until the end of the month for yourself, because you are spending your money so fast. So it might be easier for you to send it in small amounts, 5 times over the month, rather than just one big amount at the end of the month. So these things are things that are just making it easier for customers to use our platform.
Lastly, studies show that remittance elevate poverty in lower and middle-income countries, improve nutritional outcome, and are associated with higher spending on education and reduced child labor in disadvantaged households. How are you helping all these dependents at this trying moment?
So we've reduced the cost, as I said earlier, by 50%, and this is for the pandemic, and also it's now this time of year is Ramadan, so there's a big need for money transfer services. So this will make it that little bit easier, for people to send their money. Obviously, you want as much of your money to get to your recipient, and you want to reduce that cost for us as much as possible. And as I said, we're normally cheaper anyway than traditional players because we've got an online platform, and therefore we can reduce our costs. But on top of that, we feel that we really should do something for their customers to just ease their pain, and by making our transactions 50% lower, we feel that goes a long way, and people will actually feel the difference when they're sending money.
Thank you very much. And that was Adil Dirie, East Africa's Regional Director of remittance company PaySii, talking to us on their projected decline. It is estimated that by about 20%, there will be a sharp decline of about 20% in global remittances.